Educational GMAT. Your partner in your GMAT journey.
I think it should be very evident here. Who is the author? Economist. Very nice. So I think we are pros at this now. So prices of most precious metals have greatly increased in nominal terms. That is adjustment before adjustment for inflation. Something where demand increases or supply is less, or supply is more, demand is less. Now let's look into this. Let's look into this. So first, let's understand. Actually, this is a bit of an unnecessary detail if you really ask me in this question. Let's say my salary last year was $100 last year, and let us say my salary this year is $103. So what is my nominal increase in salary? 3%, right? That's called the nominal increase. All right. Now my salary increased by 3%. And let us say from last year to this year, suppose inflation was 4%, let's say. All right. So now in real terms, did my salary increase or decrease? So, right, in real terms, my salary actually decreased by 1%. So that's just the same thing will negotiate the yes. So that, I mean, is something that you need to be aware of. So this is the nominal increase and this is the real increase, which in this case is a decrease. So in real terms, in this argument, in real terms, have the prices increased or decreased? Decreased, very nice, right? Notice inflation adjusted prices are basically the real increase or decrease. So essentially it's saying that over the past century, the prices, the real prices for most precious metals have actually been falling. So the point is prices have been falling in the past century, okay? Then it says, since the price of a commodity decreases when supply grows, that makes sense, right? When supply is more, the prices come down. And since demand for precious metals has been growing, now that is given to us as a fact, by the way, right? Demand for precious metals has been growing. So demand obviously has been growing. And it is also given to us that prices in the last century have been falling, right? Prices in the last century for precious metals have been falling. So what is the conclusion then? Absolutely, right? The conclusion is that supply, very nice. See, demand, you do get this, right? With demand increasing, generally you would expect the prices to also go up. However, since the prices have been reducing, the only explanation perhaps is that the supply of these metals on the market must be currently growing. And we have to challenge this. Tricky one. It's not easy, guys. Not easy. So basically, the overall reasoning of the economist is the is what we have to attack. Yes, the overall reasoning of the economist. Yes.
Option A.
Okay. Sorry. Alpha for everyone. Which one? David. All right. Okay.
Sir,
Sorry. Can you please repeat?
D.
David for Raman as well.
B.
Baker. Okay. Wow. Almost everything is on the table. Well, what is your answer, Isha? David. All right. Why? Hmm. Very nice. Yeah. All right. All right. Now notice Economist is presenting data for the entire century. And the conclusion from that data is about what is currently going on. That's the gap. Presenting data for the entire past century. Century, right? So now 100 years, correct. No, so David and Edward are clearly addressing different time frames. 100, correct? So what I'm saying is, Prasenjit, that the in the argument, the economist is presenting the data for the past 100 years, right? That the real prices for precious metals have been falling, right? And based upon that data, the economist is concluding that perhaps it is because the supply is increasing for these currently. What David is saying is over the past decade, the prices of most precious metals have risen after adjustment for inflation. So the real prices for precious metals over the past decade, in other words, again, this data that was presented to us was for the past century. which was really not the appropriate data, because we to conclude something about what is happening currently, the data for the past decade was, for the past 10 years, was more relevant. So over the past decade, the prices of most precious metals have risen after adjustment for inflation. Now let's look at alpha, which was also a favorite answer for many of you. What does alpha say? Mining precious metals to put them on the market continuously lowers reserves in the earth. Sorry. Now I would just I would just counter this by, for example, putting forth the example of oil. Uh, Obviously, when you extract oil, uh, it also lowers the reserves of oil in the earth. But then, well, we may find new sites. We may find new sites, but then it still lowers the reserves in the earth. Yes, and I completely get you, Haren. What I'm just saying is that even when mining lowers the reserves in the earth, it's possible that more and more of it is being mined. Yes. For example, that yeah, no, no, let's discuss this. Let's discuss this. Uh, Demand has been growing, right? That's given to us as a fact. And what about the prices? What about the prices? Correct. Now that's a fact. But the point is, the prices have been falling. Is something that is true. That is something that the economist has presented for the last century. That's the whole point. Now, if the demand, so let's say, how about the supply? So the author or the economist says that the supply must be currently growing. More the supply, lesser the price, right? So, Harin, what the only question I have is, based upon alpha, what you are suggesting is that perhaps the supply is not growing. Do you agree? No, no, no. Just hold on. What I'm saying is that if supply is lesser, then why would prices come down? See, the point is prices are coming down. It is given to us as a fact. So yeah, so if the supply, however, is less, then you can't even justify the drop in price. So that's the reason for David. All right. Incorrect data collection. Incorrect data collection as in citing the last century of data. and then concluding something about the current situation. So that's the gap that option David is exposing.